I personally thought Sean Strickland won. I thought he won round 1, 2, and 5. A lot of people are saying the round in question is round 2. I don't know if a lot of people don't remember this, but at the end of that round, Dricus' eye was basically compromised and could probably barely see out of it. That's where I'm like, Sean Strickland did so much damage in that second round to Dricus. Like he was beat up by the second round. A lot of people say, oh, that was in the first. Yeah, but it was in the first and the second that Sean did all that damage. And then, Dricus bounces back in the third and the fourth, and we going into the fifth. I thought Sean Strickland was winning the fight going into the fifth. And I said, all Sean has to do is win this round and he keeps his title. And Sean won the round. It blows my mind that a lot of people give Sean Strickland the fifth round, but not the second. Because the fifth and the second round, to me, were very, very similar. But that's the beauty of the sport. We got our own choices and we have our own opinions. And this one's just mine. I wish your guy, Dricus Du Plessis, the best. And it's always awesome when your guy wins. Ride for your guy and support Dricus the best way you can. He needs your support to keep continuing his title run. He's putting South Africa in the map. Pretty dope. At the end of the day, Dricus' come up is fucking awesome. So good for him. Hey guys, welcome to the False Line Podcast here with episode 192. This is your host, Alvaro. We just wrapped up UFC 297, and I know I got a lot of negative comments. I'm going to clear that all up. Talk a little bit about boxing towards the end, but really just do a recap of UFC 297. And talk about kind of what's next and thoughts just about the fights in general and the card. So not going to waste time. We'll get right into it. So first fight on the pay-per-view event was Arnold Allen versus Movsar Evloev. I can't say his last name. That fight was a little controversial. Very decent fight. I was going to say good, but it was a decent fight. But the knees to the face, some people say they were legal. Some people they're saying there is illegal. I don't really understand the rule, but from my understanding, if he has the hand on the canvas, then the knees to the face are legal. So if that stoppage, or if that sequence would have continued, maybe the fight would have been a little bit different, and Arnold Allen possibly would have won that fight. So that's all I really have to say about that fight. Nothing too, both good fighters, of course, but nothing too exciting where I was like, wow, right? And again, I'm learning these guys, so that's all I'm trying to do when I watch these types of fights. Then we had Chris Curtis versus Mark Andre. This fight was another good fight. Happy for Curtis to get a W and, kind of keep his ranked and kind of just be what they call him, a gatekeeper. And I like seeing those guys that are gatekeepers, like Neil Magny, the same thing as him. So good win for Chris Curtis. Neil Magny versus Mike Malott. A lot of guys thought the Canadian was going to win. He seemed a bit arrogant, and being undefeated and how he was going to win, things like that. So at first, and I will talk about this a little bit more because I was more into this fight, especially that football was over by now. Neil Magny kind of, had his leg compromised in the first round. And just looked like he didn't have much answers for Mike. Going into that third round, it's like, okay, if Mike does the same thing, Mike wins the fight, and we move on. But Neil Magny had other plans, man. Being the veteran and being how long he's been in the UFC, he goes in there somehow, some way, gets on, well, not somehow, some way, but, switches it up because Mike, I don't know if he was getting desperate or wanted to finish, but he went for a guillotine. He kind of jumped on him, and then Neil Magny just got out of there, kind of slammed him, and then just took top control, and it looked like Mike was just tired, and Neil Magny put him out, So big W for Neil, and it just goes to show you, why he's been in the sport for so long. So kudos to Neil for that. I will say a little disappointed on the reaction from Mike. He got hit a few times, but nothing where he was out of it, and it looked like the way he was reacting, he just was sitting down, laying down, never got up even when they announced the winner, and it was kind of disappointing. It's like it seemed like he didn't want to show his face. He just didn't want to stand there, like he just didn't want to get up. It seems like he was embarrassed or something, and I'm like, bro, you've seen Canada. These people came here to watch you, and they're behind you. And if you didn't get the win, it's okay. Like, just show your face, appreciate the fans, and that's it. So it feels like his loss kind of hurt him and his ego and his pride, of course. I'm assuming a little bit, but to an extent where he didn't want to get up. So that was just my observation and my opinion. All right, so then we get to the co-main. Raquel Pennington versus Silva. Very, very disappointing fight. It was just boring, snooze fest. No offense to these ladies, they did real good, but it just wasn't entertaining, And it sucks that this was a co-main, and it was a title fight, and a little, for Pennington, man, she was piecing up Silva, and it's just like, bro, just keep the distance and keep piecing up Silva, but she kept going in for the clinch, and just trying to make it a wrestling fight, and it was just a little bit boring. And I think she could have put out Silva if she would have just kept it on the feet, kept her distance, and just kind of landed the punches till Silva went down. So very, like I said, not the most entertaining fight, and it was just tough to watch for 25 minutes. Very boring. Just being honest, but I'm happy for Raquel Pennington. Good for her. And for Silva, for all the chirping she did. It's crazy because she was the one also keeping it boring as well. So, and, unfortunately, for the next fight for Pennington, it's going to be Juliana Pena. And I would like to think that Juliana, as much as she is annoying as fuck to me, but I think she's going to be champion. So now we got to deal with that, but as long as we have an entertaining fight next for that title, I'm happy with that. So, let's get into the main event. Sean Strickland versus Dricus Du Plessis. So obviously I had Sean Strickland winning this fight. I was pretty confident. I said that he was going to take everything from Dricus, and Dricus was not going to have any success, not going to get a knockout, doesn't have the knockout power, not going to get a submission. What else did I, that's kind of how I felt about the fight. And the critics, clearly I was wrong, right? Part of it. But a lot of people were like, oh, what now? What? And I want to just make this clear. I have a lot of fun recording this. I have a lot of fun talking about these fights. And I'm going to make a pick. I don't want to just, I don't always say, I don't want to just talk about these fighters and be like, we'll see what happens. I don't want to be that type of you can say entertainer or UFC podcast, whatever you want to call me, but that's not the content that I want to make. I want to make a pick, and I want to tell you guys why I make this pick. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. And it's the fight game. It's sports. Anything could happen. But that's just my observation. And for me to be wrong, it's all right. And then on top of that, like I said, I just enjoy fighting as much as some of you guys do. And it's you guys. A lot of people had Dricus winning this fight by submission, by knockout, and all those things. And I'm the same way. I had Sean Strickland winning this by TKO. That's what I thought was going to happen. And if it went to distance, I thought Sean was going to win the fight. So that's just how I felt. So again, for the haters and the comments, those people are not going to watch this part of the podcast because they just watch the clips. But for the people that are, I want you guys to understand that, I do this for fun, and I enjoy it. This is what I like to do. And I love watching fighting. It's fucking awesome to me. Just as much as you guys like it, I like it the same way. I don't think that I'm smarter than anybody. I don't think I make better, what is it called? I analyze these fighters, but I don't do any of that. I just literally watch UFC on YouTube, and when there's pay-per-views or fight nights or boxing, and I just watch and I enjoy it. I have pizza, I have wings, I have beer. I just have a good time. It's fun to me. And I want to build a community where we can kind of just talk about fighting, and this is what this is. So for me being wrong, it's okay, And to go on that, a lot of people are saying robbery. A lot of people think Dricus won. People thought that Sean won. I personally thought Sean Strickland won. I thought he won round 1, 2, and 5. A lot of people are saying the round in question is round 2. But Dricus, I believe, got 2 takedowns or 3 even in that round, but I for sure got 2 if I'm not mistaken. And, I don't know if a lot of people don't remember this, but at the end of that round, Dricus' eye was basically compromised and could probably barely see out of it. So, there's that. And that's where I'm like, Sean Strickland did so much damage in that second round to Dricus. He was beat up by the second round. A lot of people say, oh, that was in the first. Yeah, but it was in the first and the second that Sean did all that damage. And then, Dricus bounces back in the third and the fourth. And we going into the fifth. And And I was seeing the little Twitter things that people had Dricus up 3-1, and a lot of people had Dricus up, and I was like, really, like Dricus, you guys think is winning this fight? And I was just like, if I thought Sean Strickland was winning the fight going into the 5th, and I said, all Sean has to do is win this round, and he keeps his title, and Sean won the round, and to me, it blows my mind that a lot of people give Sean Strickland the 5th round, but not the 2nd. Because the 5th and the 2nd round, to me, were very, very similar rounds. So, but that's the beauty of the sport. We got our own choices and we have our own opinions. And this one's just mine. Let's see. So Dana White thought that Sean Strickland won the fight. He had 2-2 going into the 5th for each guy. The MMA guru, from my understanding, thought Sean Strickland had the edge over for Dricus, and he's saying that the 2nd round is the one in question. When Joe Rogan, he was watching as well, and he said, interesting. I wonder how people are going to feel about this on social media. So obviously, Dana, MMA guru, Joe Rogan's, they're not any professional judges or anything like that. But those are people that we look to for reliable sources and opinions. And you have those guys saying those things. It's like the decision is very questionable. That's all I gotta say. I'm not gonna say robbery or nothing, but it was a questionable decision. Dricus face, doing the post-fight interview with his title. I mean, it's crazy that he won to me, right? It's just, I can't comprehend at the moment, like, how did this guy win? Look at the damage he took to his face, all the legs that were checked. Don't get me wrong, he had some success with some body shots and some head leg kicks, and he landed a few good strikes on Sean and made Sean bleed. But for me, there was never a point where Dricus just had a very successful sequence. He did a lot of good things in the 3rd and the 4th, but it was just like, to me, it was just moments. And Sean, and Dricus was the pressure fighter. I would say that Dricus was kind of taking the fight to Sean. But the thing is that Sean never was really, he was stepping back, but it was never anything like running away. Like, he was in the pocket with Dricus the whole time. And we knew this, or I knew this at least. So, I don't know, man. A lot of people are going to look at this fight at different angles. I haven't watched the fight again yet. I will do it later this week, and I'll make another episode about that and how I really feel. But without that being said, like, I'm happy for Dricus. I'm happy for the South African community, that country. They're really happy that Dricus won the title. But I just want to make it clear, like, it wasn't like Dricus easily won this fight. It wasn't an easy decision. It was a very controversial split decision. And again, a lot of people thought Sean won, including myself. A lot of people thought Dricus won, including a lot of other people. And, for the first 2 rounds, I said that Sean was going to take everything away from Dricus. And Dricus had no success, in my opinion, in the 1st or in the 2nd round with any striking. It was just some body leg kicks. But no leg kicks to Sean. Everything was getting checked that Dricus threw to the legs. So, going into that 1st, 2nd round, I was pretty confident. I was like, okay, Sean's completely shutting Dricus down. Completely. Like, Dricus had no success with anything. That's why it blows my mind that people thought he won the 2nd round. And the only thing he had success is that he got the takedown, but Sean Strickland got right back up. That's the thing. Like, we talk about control time maybe, but I was like, Sean has to work, get up. I understand. You shoot, you get the takedown, but I don't know, man. Like I said, I don't know. Sean got right back up. Dricus didn't do any damage when he got the takedown. So it's just it's very hard to be a judge. I will say that. So yeah, like I said, Dricus didn't have much success with a lot of things. It was just a lot of little things that he did, and he had little moments, and he landed really good shots, especially in the 4th round. But again, I just never felt, besides the 4th round, that Dricus had really much success. And people might say, like, oh, your bias are hitting. And guys, I don't really care about Sean Strickland like that. I don't care about Dricus Du Plessis like that. I don't really, if they're champion, whoever's champion, I don't really care, And after the fight, I went on live on TikTok and I was fucking having a good time with the South African community. Like, I don't care about, Sean losing or winning or Dricus losing or winning. I'm just a fan who's enjoying the fight, and I have opinion. Now, my favorite fighters like Volkanovski, Charles Oliveira, Brandon Moreno, those guys I will have like salt. I will be salty. I will be sad. Like, I will be upset. Those are the guys I will get upset about. But, so before anyone calls me biased, like, I'm not biased. I'm watching this fight and I was like, fuck, Dricus is having success now. I was impressed by Dricus that he can keep that pace for 5 rounds. I didn't think he could do it. That's the thing that surprised me the most. It wasn't anything else that Dricus did, but his fucking cardio. I was like, how does this guy keep this pace up for 5 rounds? Sean looked tired at the end. He was pretty tired, and the end of the 4th, the end of the 5th, he was tired. He came back a little bit refreshed, but he was tired. And Dricus just slowed down a little bit, but I'm like, holy crap, bro. Like, Dricus he had the pace. He had the pace, and it was insane that he could do that, and could manage to stay in a fight for 5 rounds. And like I said, going into that 3rd round, I thought I had it up Sean 2-0. And it felt like, Dricus had to do some adjustments, and he did. And he started to have success. So that's what impressed me the most in the fight, that he could keep, the pace and then to make those adjustments to win the 3rd and the 4th round. And for Sean Strickland, it just looked like he never got any momentum going. It looked like he was just kind of fighting very defensively and countering a lot. And like I said, he landed a lot of clean shots. And his boxing is, I like it. It's one of the best. And I know a lot of people are going to say that, oh, well, why didn't he do this? Why didn't he do that? But like I said, look at Dricus's face at the end of the fight. And he did that, and Dricus won. Like, and like Sean didn't really have much success, and look at the damage he did to Dricus. So, again, to me, Sean's boxing is A1, landed a lot of good shots throughout the whole fight. I mean, just look at Dricus' face. Never been that beat up. So it just goes to show you how good Sean Strickland is as well. But, other thing I want to say about Dricus, it's just impressive that he beats a former champ, Robert Whittaker, and beats, the current champ, Sean Strickland, that beat that beat Israel Adesanya. So, for Dricus, it's just impressive what he's doing at the moment. And for being the underdog in the last fight and this fight, I'm like, man, Dricus did it again. Like, that's just how I felt at the end of it, And when they gave the score, or the judges, and they were showing the highlights, they were just showing Dricus's highlights. And I was like, they're going to give it to Dricus. Like, they want to give this fight to Dricus just because of the highlights. And it kind of feels like they wanted to make an Izzy fight versus Dricus for UFC 300. And I will say this about Dricus, and I'm not trying to hate on Dricus, but I'll tell you guys right now, Dricus is not going to fight at UFC 300. He's not. And I know the UFC is going to want him to, but he's not. He didn't want to fight Israel because of injury. People say that was too fast because of the turnaround. But the damage he took, I just don't see Dricus rushing to get back there. He wasn't rushing a title shot against Izzy, so I don't see him rushing his first title defense at UFC 300. He wanted to be champion. He's accomplished that. So I think for him, he just has no really, I hate saying it, but like he's not itching to go back at UFC 300. Like I said, he was pretty beat up. He barely could walk outside the press conference at the end of it. And for Sean Strickland, like Sean Strickland's eye was right here, right here, and right here. It was fucked up, but everything else, like he looked fine. So I don't know, guys. A lot of mixed emotions, Again, I thought Sean Strickland won the fight. A lot of people thought Sean won. A lot of people thought Dricus won. At the end of the day, it was a really, really, really good title fight, And it sucks that the rest of the card wasn't as good, but it was really good. No knockouts on the card at all. All these fights went to decision, which is fucking insane. It just kind of shows you the card that it was. So, let's talk a little bit what's next for these guys. For Sean Strickland, I think he could fight Dricus again for the rematch. That would be good, I think. Or he could fight Jared Cornier. And for Dricus, he could fight Israel Adesanya or Sean Strickland. I don't see him fighting anyone that's not Izzy or that's not Sean Strickland. I just don't see it. People talk about Hamzat, but bro, Hamzat is not. I don't know, man. I can't see Hamzat having success with Dracus. You know, I don't think Hamzat can have success with Sean Strickland. Like, I don't. So I think for Drake is a decent title defense, you know, and he's the champion now, so he has a target on his back, and hopefully, you know, he has a good run. I really would like to see Drake have some success. I really do. You know, like I told you guys, I don't really care if Sean's champion or not. Like, I'm not like, oh, I want these guys to be champs. I was just wrong. But Drake I hope he has a good title run. I love seeing a guy defend his title. And I would be awesome that he could have a good title run, and hopefully he does. I wish him nothing but the best. I really do hope he has a good title run. But I think he needs to fight Izzy. Like, he called out Izzy, so I think that fight needs to happen next. That would be a fucking banger. Hamzat needs to fight someone like Jared, Sean Strickland, Robert Whitaker. Well, Robert Whitaker is fighting Paulo Costa, so that's that. Let's see, and yeah, so both of those guys are gonna be pretty still on top of the division, and hopefully they meet again soon. I really do want to see another fight. Doesn't have to be right away. You know, Sean can get another win and be right back in there, and I'll be cool with that. So, yeah, and then after the fight, guys, you know, some of you guys are watching from the live right now. It was a good fight. I mean, it was a good time on the live. I was on TikTok live. South Africa showed up, and they were just kind of telling me all these things, speaking to me in their language and saying all these things. I was playing music, having a good time, and it was fun. Very, very friendly people. I will say that. I expected them to be like, ha, 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 you were wrong. But they were like, I told you, you don't know what we know, things like that. So it was cool, man. They kept it cool, and I was like, man, these guys are nothing but respect. And unfortunately, like I told them, I was like, it's the American culture that is, the toxic ones, the ones in my comments saying, haha, you were wrong. Those are Americans. I don't see any South African commenting on my shit, because if they were, they would have put the South African flag, because that's what you guys were doing last night on the live. So shout out to you guys, for being very respectful. And I'm happy that we had a good time kind of playing music, kind of talking about the fight. You guys got me banned for TikTok for 8 days for playing some song that had some homosexual, I don't know what it was saying, but it was saying like homophobic slurs. I don't know, man. But I got fucking banned on TikTok because of the South Africans. So that kind of sucks. But we had a good time on the live, man. It was fun. And again, I wish your guy, Dricus Du Plessis, the best. And it's always awesome when your guy wins. Like when Brandon Moreno became the champion, bro, I was crying. I was like crying my ass. Like his speech after, I was like, fuck, man, that was insane. So, ride for your guy and support Dricus the best way you can. He needs your support to keep continuing his title run, and just be there for support. And, he's putting South Africa in the map for the UFC. So it's pretty dope. At the end of the day, Dricus has come up. Is fucking awesome. So good for him. Again, I told you guys how I feel the fight, and that's just me personally. I can feel what I want. I can say that I thought Sean won, and there's nothing wrong with that. Again, I'm happy for Drake. So I just want to let you guys know that, like, I'm not like mad or anything like that. So that's that. But what I say? What else? What about that? But I think that's pretty much it about UFC. Again, guys, I had such a fun time after on the live, and I'm looking forward to do that a little bit more and have like a watch-a-thon, or just watch or go live after the fight, something like that. So I do want to talk a little bit about boxing. Rolly Romero posted that him and Pitbull Cruz, or Isaac Pitbull Cruz, are going to fight now. So who knows what happened with him and Ryan, but all I want to say here is that the fight with Devin Haney, Ryan Garcia, is not happening because Ryan said, fuck that, blah, blah. He said he's going to fight Rolly Romero now. Now Rolly Romero saying, fuck that, I'm going to fight Pitbull. So that makes me think that Ryan Garcia is being a little outrageous when it comes to negotiations with these guys. I get that Ryan Garcia is a pool, but hey, man, you haven't beat anyone impressive. You haven't really done anything in the sport of boxing where, you're someone that can set those demands. You're a good pool, but, you can't be asking for crazy splits or just crazy demands. So I think it's good if they're fucking around with Rolly and bullshitting Rolly, fucking move on, man. Like, Ryan Garcia's not going to fight Devin now or Rolly. So I don't know who Ryan Garcia is going to fight. I think he fumbled the bag with both of those guys. They both could have made a lot of money. So like it's very disappointing from Ryan, and it's crazy because he's saying that he wants to make the sport great again and he wants to make these mega fights. But then, you know, behind the scenes, it looked like he's being a little stingy and just making certain demands that are a little bit unreasonable. So very disappointed from Ryan. And, you know, it's just a pattern, right? It didn't happen with Devin. It didn't happen with Rolly. Who's the problem, man? It's Ryan. Like, that's all I got to say. And, yeah. So, all I really got to say about that. So, hopefully, Rolly Romero and Pitbull Cruz happens. That would be a good fight. I would very, much want to tune into that. Anything else? I think that's it for the episode, guys. Again, if you guys enjoyed it, give it a like, share, subscribe. And, again, this is all. I don't want to be right. I don't care about being right. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I just want to have a good time with y'all and kind of talk about how I feel and just fucking be a community. Like, just be a big UFC, MMA, boxing community. That's all I'm trying to build here. And just keep, you know, tuning in, giving me a shot, guys. I really do appreciate it. I'll see you guys on the next one. The next one, I will rewatch Sean Strickland and Dricus Du Plessis and give a better breakdown of the fight overall. And what else? Whatever pops up this week. So have a good week, guys. And again, I'm happy for the South African people. They got a guy that's champion now. And stay blessed.